Hi, everyone. My name is Riley, and I am so excited to be here today to talk to all of you about content batching, specifically demystifying how to create and schedule meaningful content on Pinterest. So before we jump in, I wanted to give a little bit of background on who I am. I am a senior product marketing manager at Planoly. I started my tech product marketing journey at Retail Me Not, but currently work at Planoly working on our core products to develop our go-to-market strategies. And one thing that I am super passionate about is kind of connecting the right audience with the right product and having some kind of meaningful impact on their life or business. So I hope today through this workshop, I can do that for all of you with Pinterest and Planoly's Pin Planner. Some other fun facts about me. I have a 2.5-year-old named Juniper, who hopefully you will not hear in the background today, but she has the best curls in the whole world. So everyone always says she looks like Shirley Temple, which is so fun. And then my husband and I love being outdoors with her. We actually have 6 chickens in our backyard. So we love being outside, especially in Austin this time of year. It's beautiful. So that's just a little bit about me. So jumping into Planoly, if you have not heard of Planoly, just wanted to share a little bit of information about who we are. So Planoly is a platform that lets you schedule and plan all of your Instagram and Pinterest content. We have over 5 million users who visually plan, schedule, and measure performance across Instagram and Pinterest. So you can actually go to planoly.com and create an account or download our mobile app. So before we jump into content batching specifically, I wanted to stop for a second and talk about Pinterest. Some of you might be wondering, like, do I need Pinterest? I already spend so much time planning my other social channels. What is the true value of Pinterest? So before I get into everything on this slide, I just wanted to stop and talk about the fact that Pinterest is such a different social channel from your other channels. A lot of other channels, you see content posted chronologically. You get kind of that immediate impact. So you might see immediate clicks, immediate likes, things like that. Pinterest is a little bit more unique. A lot of their content isn't chronological. They surface content depending on user preferences, things that users are searching, etc. So that being said, a lot of times you'll find that your Pinterest content actually has a longer lifespan. It's also important to note that Pinterest is growing significantly, especially over the last year. They now have over 450 million monthly active users. So it's a huge potential audience for your brand or business. It's also said that 77% of pinners discover brands on Pinterest, and Pinterest can actually drive more referral traffic to your website than Facebook. So next you might be wondering, okay, there's a lot of people here, but how do I know that they want to see my content? I think it's pretty clear that because they have such a big audience that it really resonates with so many different people, all the different content. So you have people coming to Pinterest to get creative inspiration or even purchase inspiration. So I would say that most likely your brand or business will find value out of Pinterest regardless of the topic, because of the large audience and how users are coming for multiple different reasons. All right, so to start off with content batching, you must have some meaningful content. So we're first gonna start by talking about how you create that meaningful content for Pinterest. So first, let's talk about what content batching is. It's kind of a buzzword right now, so some of you may be wondering what we even mean when we talk about content batching. So content batching is really the act of creating and curating social media content ahead of time. with the goal of saving time in the future so that you can spend time on other things you want to do. So there's 3 really key parts of content batching. First is actually designing the creative. So you want to make sure you're building some content that is really visually appealing, that really draws in your audience and gets users to engage with their content. The next piece is writing captions. So for Pinterest specifically, this would mean writing a really strong title, a really strong description, and a really good pin URL. So Pinterest URL is where you can input where you want users to go when they click on your pins. So you may want them to go to your website or to your blog or another place online. So that's where you would enter that information. I also wanted to call out that the description is really important here. That's really where keywords are critical. So when you are creating content, you want to think about what would a user be searching for on Pinterest and make sure you're capturing those keywords in the caption. And the last piece, of course, is scheduling it. So ideally, you can use Planoly to schedule your content. But either way, the last piece of content batching is really planning out when you want certain content to go live. Okay, so why content batching? Why is it important? We talked about this a little bit already. Ideally, it's saving you time. To give you a quick example, our content marketing team at Planoly schedules content all the time, of course, but we actually had them put our product to the test, and they scheduled content 5 times faster when they used our planning tool. So when they were using Pin Planner's campaigns feature, they actually were able to bulk upload content and schedule it 5 times faster than when they just scheduled 1 pin at a time. So that time savings is critical for content batching. It also allows for better curated content and ensures consistent aesthetic. So you're creating content that is really meaningful, that is all on brand for whatever brand you have. It also allows you to prioritize both quality and quantity, which I think is huge because you definitely want to have a wide breadth of content, but you still want to make sure that that content all resonates really well with your audience. So content batching is a great way to be able to do that. So before I jump into a few examples, I would love for you to put into Slack who you think is doing this well. Put some Pinterest profiles potentially of brands or businesses that you follow that do a really good job of planning out their content and making it look aesthetically pleasing when you discover it. A few examples I have. So the first one is Sugar and Cloth. As you can see, their pins are beautiful, number one, but I also love that they actually added text on top of some of their pins. So it gives you a really clear idea of what you're going to see if you click on that content. The next is Camille Styles. What I love about what she's done here is that she's created a different board for each different topic she's covering. So it makes it really easy for a user to visit her profile and kind of understand if they're looking for things for a kid's room or holiday decor. It's really easy for you to just jump right in and understand exactly what content you're going to see depending on the board you visit. The third one is Glossier Beauty Chat. What I love about what they've done here is all of their lifestyle content. So here you can see examples of exactly what type of products they're interested in. You can see real life examples that really hopefully resonate with the people who are viewing their content. So next, let's talk about how we can actually batch content for Pinterest. This is where Planoly's Pin Planner comes in. So our Pin Planner is available through planoly.com, as I mentioned earlier, or you can download our mobile app. Once you download, you can just create an account and link your Pinterest account to your Planoly account. From there, you can upload content from multiple different sources, schedule that content, and then analyze the performance. I want to call out that when you upload the content, you can upload one image at a time or multiple images at the same time. And same with the scheduling process. You can schedule content for one pin, one board, or you can schedule for multiple pins across multiple boards. And then for analyzing performance, we'll dive into that a little bit later, but you can really understand which pins are performing best. Within Pin Planner, I wanted to call out 3 specific tools that are really critical to using Pin Planner. I think that they are super valuable, and I want to make sure that you find them when you're using Pin Planner. So the first one is about building campaigns. So when you build a campaign through Pin Planner, you can schedule a lot of content at the same time. So that means you can upload content all related to one topic, schedule it within a campaign, and kind of set it and forget it. We'll dive into campaigns a little bit more later. The next one is Planoly Uploader. So that is actually our browser extension, which you can download on Chrome or Safari. What I love about Planoly Uploader is that when you're browsing online, you may be curating content for your followers. It really easily grabs an image from a website you're visiting and allows you to schedule that pin through Pin Planner. So it kind of takes some of the legwork out of downloading that image, re-uploading it, adding the pin URL. It takes a lot of that automatically when you're pinning something through the uploader. And the third one is one of my favorites. It's our Stories Edit app. So this is kind of a complementary product to Pin Planner. So you can actually download Stories Edit for free on Android or iOS. And what it does is it gives you the ability to use some of our designer templates to create the perfect pin for your content. So you can go into Stories Edit, upload an image, and then even overlay text on top of that. So it looks really clean and beautiful for you to share with your pin followers. Okay, so let's dive into Pin Planner campaigns a little bit more. As I mentioned, it's a really simple way to manage a large volume of content. You can automatically pin up to 168 times per campaign per week. So it really gives you the ability to bucket all of your content together and schedule it across multiple boards or one board for a specific period of time. And on the next slide, I have kind of an example of what it looks like. But I just want to call out that it's just a really great way to save time, as I've mentioned, automatically pin content, and it's really easy to set up. Okay, so here's an example of kind of what a Pin Planner campaign looks like. So as you saw, you name your campaign, followed by adding a title, a description, and a pin URL. So you can kind of put in whatever you feel like is helpful for whatever the content is. Next, you're going to create your campaign rules. So when should the campaign start? What boards it should be published to? And you can select multiple boards. You can also even create a new board from this view, which is really helpful. And then last, you can actually select publishing times. One thing I want to call out is because Pinterest works a little bit differently, the specific time doesn't necessarily matter. You just want to create times every day so that you can kind of create that consistent pin schedule. So just wanted to call that out, but you can kind of customize that however you prefer. And then it will create that campaign automatically, and you can start adding your content to that campaign. Okay, so also wanted to share with you all a few tips on creating content buckets. If you have any examples of content buckets that you use today, please feel free to drop them in Slack just to kind of inspire others on kind of what you think about when you're creating those different content buckets. A few that our team uses for Pinterest specifically are quotes and infographics. By far, we see that quotes and infographics do so well on Pinterest. I think it's because people are searching for that content. It's really clean and easy to read and just makes it really easy for users to understand what kind of content they're getting. I also wanted to call out that you can pin to multiple boards. So you may have one pin that resonates with a few different boards. So you may have something that fits into your home decor bucket, but also is a great gift for the holidays. So you could pin that specific image to multiple boards so it shows up in multiple places. The last thing I wanted to mention was also seasonal content buckets. You actually saw an example of that for holiday 2020 on one of the previous slides, but I wanted to just mention this because I think it's really important for Pinterest that we talk about seasonal buckets in advance. So as you can see, this Halloween example on the right, so cute. I would actually recommend this getting pinned probably early September for Halloween. The reason being is that it gives that content time to kind of bake in the Pinterest algorithm so that by the time keyword searches for Halloween inspiration, things like that, start to peak, that content is already there and already has some engagement to kind of bring it up in the algorithm. We find at Planoly that some of our pins that we've posted months ago start to do well at certain times of year. We see content that's even a year old that all of a sudden will come back and really start resonating with users again. So I think it's important to just remember again that you may not see people clicking on it immediately, but if you pin it in advance, most likely that gives it a little bit more time for users to discover it and for it to be relevant at the right time. Okay, next, I want to talk to all of you about story pins. This is a new feature that Pinterest has that I'm really excited about. I think it's going to be really interesting to see kind of where it goes. I did want to mention that story pins do require a business account right now. So if you don't have a Pinterest business account, it's free to switch to Pinterest business. And then you can request access to story pins. There's a few different use cases, I think, for story pins that are worth mentioning. If you are a social media manager, I think this is a great way to create more awareness and add value to product education posts. So it's just a really good way to kind of get your brand in front of different people. This content surfaces in a different way, so it just gives you more visibility. If you're an influencer, again, this is a great way to just expand on your current content and audience. And finally, if you're an entrepreneur, this is a great way to really create product catalogs or compile tips to style your products. So story pins can have videos, they can have multiple screens. It's just a really unique way to surface that content that's different than your standard pin. So I definitely recommend testing it out, see what works for your brand, and just kind of play around with it. All right, so you've spent a lot of time creating the content, scheduling it, planning it. It takes a lot of time. Hopefully it takes you less time if you're using Pen Planner. But either way, you want to know, is this working? Is this worth my time? Should I be investing in Pinterest? What am I seeing? Things like that. So that's where measuring success comes in. Pen Planner actually has a specific feature within it called Analyze. With Analyze, you can look holistically at your pin performance over the last 7, 30, or 90 days. You can also look at one specific pin and just kind of see how it's doing. We measure things including impressions, clicks, saves, and more. One thing I wanted to mention here is that for me personally, I would focus on the clicks and saves for your content. While impressions are great and it definitely shows the awareness and reach, I think clicks and saves are really good indicators that users are actually engaging with your content and that what you're saying or what you're posting actually resonates with them. So just keep that in mind that there's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of things to look at, but clicks and saves are really where you want to focus and maybe look at creating content similar to where you're seeing successes with clicks and saves. Okay, we covered a lot today. So I want to first pause and say thank you for bearing with me. I hope this was all extremely helpful information. I also wanted to cover 4 key takeaways that hopefully these just stick with you at the end of this workshop. The first one is that Pinterest is an untapped goldmine you can use to create everlasting content to educate and inspire. So as we've talked about, Pinterest content potentially has a different or longer lifespan from some of your other channels, and it can really be used to get brand awareness, get new users, and really inspire others. That kind of leads me to the next one, which is that content is key. So making sure you really have a clear content strategy is really important. Hopefully you got some ideas in Slack from each other on different content buckets you use, but I did want to mention that just really spending that time on the content strategy will really help in the long run. The third is batching your content will save you time. So even though you're spending a lot of time creating that content strategy, hopefully once you establish it, it's a breeze to kind of set up and schedule out. That's really important because then you're prioritizing that quality of post, keeping that brand aesthetic consistent, but also scheduling out in advance so that you're saving yourself time and you're not scrambling to put something together last minute. Which leads me to my fourth and obviously most favorite of the takeaways, which is that you should use Planoly's Pin Planner to schedule that content and plan and even measure performance. So hopefully all the efforts are paying off, but in the long run too, Pen Planner can really save you that time, scheduling content 5 times faster, and really creating that consistent strategy because you can set campaigns to pin automatically for you every day or even every hour. So thank you so much again for joining me today. I did want to mention that we are giving out a free month of Planoly to all workshop attendees. So use code CCContentCamp at checkout to access 1 free month of Planoly. I want to mention here that you do have to create your account through Planoly.com, not the mobile app, to get this code. And it is case sensitive, meaning you want to make sure it's all lowercase when you type it in. Our hope is that with this free month, you can test out Pen Planner as well as our IG Planner and kind of create that content strategy and start to see it in action. But we also love product feedback, so feel free to send it our way, and we hope you really enjoy it. So I wanted to say thank you so much again for your time. It has been great being with all of you today, and I hope you found value out of this, and I'm excited to see what you do. Thank you.